Joining us now, Senator Jon Barrasso of Wyoming, chairman of the Senate Republican Policy Committee and a former practicing orthopedic surgeon. You are one of those voices on Capitol Hill, although you know the medical industry well. You seem to suggest that this bill is in pretty good shape. You like this proposal.
Well, I certainly like it a lot better than Obamacare, which has been a complete failure, is continuing to collapse around the country and has driven premiums way up. So what I like about this is, as promised, it repeals the mandates, it eliminates the taxes and the penalties, but it preserves the things that as a doctor I think are very important, that people with pre-existing conditions will be protected, that there won't be any lifetime limits for people who are ill, and also that young people can stay on their parents' plan. I think those things are very important. To me, this is a monumental shift away from Obamacare and toward the freedom and the choice that patients want.
But if it doesn't have the individual mandate, it does contain a penalty provision for anybody who drops their insurance, right? If you drop your insurance for a couple of months, you have to pay a 30% penalty if you try to get that insurance back?
Well, I think this plan is set up in a way to protect patients who continue with insurance, who have insurance, but we have seen so many people gaming the system under Obamacare. That's one of the reasons so many insurance companies have said, we're not going to sell anymore. In my home state of Wyoming, you don't really have a choice. There's only one person selling insurance, and that's because Obamacare has set up in such a terrible way. It's been bad for patients, it's been bad for the doctors who are trying to take care of them, it's been bad for the taxpayers, and the insurance companies are saying, we don't want any part of it either.
So what do you say, especially to your colleagues? We just heard from Representative Jim Jordan of Ohio, who is very anti this proposal. How do you get him and others who might think the same way on board?
Well, I mean, it's interesting because there are members of that caucus who actually endorsed what Tom Price introduced a couple of years ago when he was in the House. So I think it's important that we work together to repeal and replace Obamacare. That's what we canceled. That's what we campaigned on. That's what Donald Trump campaigned on. That is our pledge to the American people. As a doctor, I say I don't want to go back to where we were years ago when I was practicing medicine. We need to do health care reform. This is the right way to do it, by getting the power out of Washington and putting it in the hands of the patients, by moving it away from Washington and back home to the states, where people have a much better idea of what works for the people who live there. And I think that this bill that we're talking about now, which is open to amendments and discussions and looking for better ideas, and there are a lot of good ideas out there, this is a huge step in the right direction, away from Obamacare and toward personal freedom.
I want to turn your attention, Senator, to another topic that's roiling Washington right now. Democrats, as you know, are pushing for a special prosecutor to investigate Russian interference or allegations thereof in the 2016 election, as the House Intelligence Committee schedules its first hearing later this month on the Russia investigation. In your view, what's the best way to proceed?
Well, the Intelligence Committee is a bipartisan committee. They work closely together. They have access to incredible amounts of information. And I put my trust and faith in the Intelligence Committee to get to the bottom of this. We all want to know the truth. We all want to make sure that we have a safe, strong, and secure country. We all want answers, and that's bipartisan.
Your former Senate colleague, Jeff Sessions, who is now the Attorney General, has taken some heat for suggesting that he was not involved in campaign meetings with Russians, campaign contacts with Russian officials, when in fact he had. Now, he says he understood the question to be in the context of campaign appearances, when he had in fact met the Russian ambassador in his Senate office in his capacity as a senator. Is that explanation acceptable to you?
Well, I think Jeff Sessions is a man of great integrity. I've worked with him over the last 10 years. He has now recused himself from a number of these discussions, but I have a lot of faith and trust in Jeff Sessions.
Senator Jon Barrasso of Wyoming, appreciate you being on. Thanks very much.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.